and today I have with me one of the world-renowned top players of Eterna, top players of the Eterna Labs, loved by the entire community. If there was a Eterna Player of the Year, I'm sure you would have won it multiple times by now. Astromon, how are you today? How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you for making this happen. For those of you who do not know, this was all because Astromon said I would really like to help people out more than I already do, which is every day, with a special lab thing. So my first question for you is, do you remember your first experience with the labs on Eterna? Not just your first time on Eterna, but like your first time with the labs. What was that like for you?
Um, I was a little nervous and afraid, and I was telling Hoggle Who that, and he said to me, "Do you want me to go in there with you?"
And that was it. I mean, what was it? Did you like do well in your first round, or what was that like?
My first round, I couldn't quite solve the puzzle,
Hmm.
so I just opened up like boards or somebody's, and I would like see how they did it, and then I opened it up and I was able to do it myself. But I don't think I scored very well.
And what was the first time that you scored? Then how far did it take you? Was it a month? Was it a day?
A year,
A
maybe,
year?
before I had good scores.
Oh, oh, oh. Okay, that makes me feel better because I've been trying to do this lab thing for half a year now, and it is difficult. So, was there something that clicked, or was it literally just repetition over and over? What was the
Oh, it was a repetition
wow?
and interest, and I just have fun doing it. And
Hmm.
the whole thing about being able to do labs from my home, you know, and they're doing the labs, they're performing them at Stanford. It's just blew my mind, and I've been here ever since, having
So
fun.
you were just hooked, even though it was pretty scary for you. Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. So how how after watching me, for those of you who don't know, obviously I've been trying to do labs for a little bit now, and Astro does help me occasionally. And I guess the one thing that I don't understand yet is what numbers are more important than the other ones. So how do you differentiate with just the mass of data? Is there anything that you want to share about that?
Yeah, well, that depends on the lab. So each lab is going to have different important metrics.
Mm.
So, so what I do for each lab is, I'll go into the forums and read, if there was another round before, I study all that and see what happened and see what metrics are important, and then you find out that way. And then
And
you can also find out by coming up with your own hypothesis, testing it, and then reworking that in the next round if need be.
is it kind of essential to the entire thing to also be taking from people that are in the same labs, or is it taking from the scientists? Who's most important to get information from? Is it player side or is it from the lab side?
Um, it's like both. You have Omi, who's very smart in labs. You have Eli Fisher, who's
Hmm.
very smart in labs, and a lot of times the developers will be asking them questions,
Hmm.
and they will be figuring things out that they can't.
Yeah.
So it's both.
Is there also intuition to it to any degree? Because obviously, I know there are so many rules for all this stuff, but is there sometimes when you're just like, this guanine has to be here? I don't care what anyone else says, it's going to do better on the labs? Or
Yeah, I mean, people do that all the time and are successful.
do you do
That's why
that?
we.
I'm asking not people. I'm talking about,
Oh, yeah.
the champion over here. Is it
Sure, I
intuition
do.
or is everything repetition for you?
I think in general, everything is a lot of intuition
Hmm.
with chess and lots of things.
Hmm.
I mean, it's important to know the book moves and the basics with Eterna and all that, and the lab and what people think and this and that. But we're doing labs because we don't know how it's going to come out. Really, no one does.
So it's a mixture of belief and also hard science, kind of like citizen science in itself. Cool. So
Yeah.
then for this last lab, take me through how you got to your top spot, or you had one of the top combined puzzles where it had like Astro, Eli, Jew, whatever, one of those massive long names. How did that happen? Well, for that, what's the process of
Um,
getting there?
Figuring out which metrics may be the best, and then picking a design that had a great metric but needed work with another metric.
Hmm.
And so I would mod their design, and then it ended up being good enough for people to vote it in.
So the process though of getting this amalgamation, is it kind of like someone gets a good design and they spend like 4 or 5 hours getting a good number, and then another person tags on to get that, or what?
Well, we're doing that for the leaderboard a lot, but the leaderboard designs are too half life. They have too much half life, really. There needs to be a balance with branchiness and other things.
Okay, so this, I guess this goes down a complete avenue. For me, I understood that the leaderboards was the most important thing for labs. Is that not the case at all?
Well, they are in a sense because you can take those and make them how you want them because they're already real tight and really great half life, and then you can just fool with some other metrics. That'll hurt the half life a bit, but then you end up with something that I have
So why is it important for the half life to not be too long?
because it becomes snake like, and um, it won't make as many proteins that way.
Hmm.
It will last a long time, but it won't make enough proteins for the medicine.
Okay. Um, for someone has a question in the chat, so I'll just kind of try to fold
Right.
them in as we go along because I don't want to do like a Q&A session at the end and make people have to wait. So as they come along, because this is more of a Twitch stream than a podcast, I guess. What has been your favorite lab to participate in so far, and why?
Oh, that would be the tuberculosis labs,
Okay.
and the reason why is because it just has a really hard puzzle in it. The ABCDEC and the ABCINC puzzles. And when you were working with this thing, it would take about 3 minutes per mutation. And even if it was real fast, like as fast as I want to go, you just can't solve it. It's something that, because I was able to design for it and also help Andrew design for his. He was trying to get his to work with INC and DNC with a pre thing he had going, and I was able to get that to work also. And it just seemed like I had a lot of success, and it really was fun. Just I don't know, pulling my hair out and getting it done. You
So
know,
in the end, you came through the a winning design. So it was a
no,
oh
no, I didn't do winning designs on that. I'm waiting for the next round for that. I've
oh
got it ready.
okay. So it's your favorite, and it'll continue to be. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, it might. But they said that we'll probably get back to the tuberculosis eventually.
Okay. Wow. And then so okay. So now that we got that over the way, I'm still a little confused about the metrics then. So can we just go over the most important ones? There is half life, which is what we usually see, but then there's like branchiness, GC content, and a few others that I'm forgetting. Is there a ranked order to that at all, or if you're a new lab player, what are the most important numbers to look at?
Yeah, there might be in the future once we know more rules.
Okay. So we don't know. So all the numbers don't.
Well, we have an idea now. Branchiness is good for proteins, and half life metric is good for making it last long. The hairpin, the length of hairpins to stacks, no, the length of stacks to hairpins is also an important metric, I think. Um, those little bulges and things that you put in to make it less of a stack is really good for making the RNA not degrade so much.
Sorry, the what things?
The um, the longest stacks to hairpins metric.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Um,
they want that less. They want that like, you know, 5 to 10 at the most, I guess. I mean, they don't really know, but they're thinking if it's too long, then it's going to start degrading and not making proteins and stuff like that.
okay.
So that's an important metric.
Okay.
There's some hypotheses going on right now. The MF minimum free energy is an important metric. I'm not so sure about that, as I was doing some investigation on that last night, and I came up with a pretty good picture. Can I show that right now?
Yeah. You can just Discord message me or share your screen, whichever one works for you.
Well, first, let me put.
Multimedia podcast. We're going everywhere.
I put this in the forum yesterday. Eli was talking about how minimum free energy may be something important, but you see these two designs here?
Oh, okay, yeah. So they're under the
They're under the wild type
yeah.
for degradation. 24 hours. I don't know, something like that. And these didn't do so well, and they're very high in minimum free energy. So there's other factors involved.
So they scored high
just,
on the leaderboard, but low in reality, essentially.
I don't think there's a leaderboard. This is for round 6. There might have been, but
I'm just saying, like, relative to the other puzzles, it had really good
yeah,
energy. Okay. Yeah.
yeah. So this is Eli's picture, and he searched for minimum free energy. So you see the most at the top and the least at the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
And these two designs, they just didn't do well in that category, and they had very good minimum free energy. So it's not just you make a design, the most minimum, the negative is possible, and it's going to do great. That's not going to work.
And this is a really general question, like very, very general question. But when you're discussing the wild type, which is this bar that we can see here, is that what is that? What is the wild type, and how does that relate to the puzzles?
I believe that's the sequence that they already had for the mRNA vaccine. That's the sequence. That's the default sequence, and we're testing against it. I'm not really sure exactly what it is. Sometimes they have seed. I think this round was a seed puzzle from Bugamac.
So the wild type can still be a created type by players.
Yeah, I don't know if they really call it the wild type, but I do know that it is a bar that we're trying to get to, and these two did not get there with very good minimum free energy. That's my point.
Okay. So I'm guessing it's a situation where the ensemble matters, where even if the shown structure has a very good MFE, there are some alternative structures with close energies that are causing issues. Astro?
Where is that question?
It's in the Twitch chat.
All right.
Well, I want
Yeah,
to stop sharing your screen so we don't have the.
yeah. What sign says is good. That's true. Yeah.
The wild type is the standard unaltered version of something. For instance, unaltered of what? Tuberculosis? A wild type mouse is a perfectly normal mouse, non experimental nor mutant form. Okay. Okay. That makes sense. I am
I'm
just.
getting lag. I'm getting.
So the podcast went on for quite a while after this, but at the same time, I don't know if you could tell, but me and Astro get along quite well, so it became more of a conversation about Astro's own progress and less about general questions uh, and answers for labs. So I thought, for the sake of you, in terms of viewing, in terms of me, so I don't have to edit as much of stuff that I don't think is going to be, seen by as many people, I thought it best to kind of just sharp cut at a point where I thought we started to open up into niche, I guess opening up doesn't work, diverge onto niche topics that would not as much interest the people that this podcast or this Twitch conversation was meant for. The one main point, though, that we kind of discussed over and over, and it took a while for me to get out of Astro, was how much time actually goes into the the elite 1 through 10 uh, designs that get picked, or 1 through 8, sorry, depending on the lab. It takes about 20 hours, he said, of getting through a puzzle to get there. But then at a later point, he said 2 hours, where it's 20 hours of being online and only 2 hours of really working hard. So depending on the person, between 2 and 20 hours, 2 hours being you get really lucky, 20 hours being you get really unlucky. So there's still a lot of work that goes into it, even though he says that it's mainly intuition. There is repetition. It's hard, but he says it's definitely worth it, and I agree. Uh, we will be doing more podcasts, Twitch conversations. I kind of like Twitch Convo more than Twitch podcasts. Twitch Convos. Twitch Convos with Astro. We'll be doing more of it. Hope you enjoyed this snippet from it. And I hope to see you on the live ones. Or maybe if you can't make them, keep watching the YouTube ones when I make more.